'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where you ought to be. And when you find yourself in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight.
When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed to turn. Turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be true, 'tis the gift to labor till the day is through. And when you find yourself in the place so fine, 'twill be in the cool of the birch and the pine. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed to turn. Turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. I'm Melissa Rosales and I'll be your worship associate today. This morning we have a guest minister with us while Reverend Marcus is away on paternity leave. The Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern is co-minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation Santa Rosa, along with the Reverend Tovis Page. She previously served with the U Church of Palo Alto for 22 years, and before that in congregations in Vermont. She also gives advice to the spiritually perplexed and vexed in her internet column, Ask Isabel. Now that she has scaled professional ministry down to half-time, she has more time to make art, make good trouble against fascism, read, and go on outings with her wife. They live in San Francisco and have a daughter in college. We're so glad that you can be with us today. And I'm so glad that all of you are here today too. However you are feeling, whatever is happening in your heart, in your soul, in your body, this week or this morning, this sanctuary has the space to hold it. If you're visiting with us for the first time, whether you're here in person or joining us online, I want to offer you a particular welcome. We hope that no matter who you are, no matter how you make your living, no matter who you love, no matter how you experience the sacred, that you will feel welcome here among us in the fullness of your being. Everyone is invited to stay after service to enjoy lunch that is provided freely in the social hall. So stick around after for food and conversation. Connection and community is what we're about here. We've got a memory book at the back of the sanctuary. If there's something on your heart this morning that you would like to share, grief or gratitude, joy or sorrow, you can write it in there and we'll read it aloud during the service. You can also light a candle for a silent memory or prayer. And finally, we acknowledge that this church occupies land in Huchiyun, in the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people. May we have the humility and courage to do our part to restore what has been broken and the wisdom to live into a new solidarity with indigenous communities and the earth. And now let us rise in body or in spirit, and before we sing our first hymn, number 1002, Comfort Me, I invite you to turn to the back of the sanctuary and let's wave to all of our friends online. And then we'll greet each other in the pews. I'd like to invite Don Close forward to light our chalice. Let us kindle our chalice flame with these words by Unitarian Universalist minister Gregory Pelly. And so we gather from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, thirsty for connection to others, thirsty for connection to the larger life. As we light this chalice, may all who gather here be filled with joy and hope, filled with compassion and love, so that we may pour ourselves out into the world.
Good morning. The next little piece is very silly. It's a descriptive piece about a cranky goblin who's just sitting there and a goblin comes and buzzes by. And if that's ever happened to you and you know what you would probably do is like, oh, do that. You're welcome to do that while I'm playing the piece. It begins with the grumpy goblin going, so whenever you feel so inclined, whap away the mosquito.
This story also has a small role for a couple of insects, as you'll hear. But before that, I wanted to pose a couple questions. If you're willing, raise your hand if anyone has ever laughed at you. How'd it feel? Any thoughts? Shout out. I'll repeat how it felt. Does it feel any different if they've ever laughed at you for something you thought was pretty funny yourself? That's a little more positive, yeah? Maybe you respond differently. Well, I love this story because I feel like our friend Toad here is a model for me and how I might respond when I recognize, like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay that I'm looking pretty funny right now. So this story is a swim, which is from Frog and Toad Are Friends, written and illustrated by the great Arnold Lobel. Toad and Frog went down to the river. "What a day for a swim," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad. "I will go behind these rocks and put on my bathing suit." "I don't wear a bathing suit," said Frog. "Well, I do," said Toad. "After I put on my bathing suit, you must not look at me until I get into the water." "Why not?" asked Frog. "Because I look funny in my bathing suit. That is why," said Toad. Frog closed his eyes when Toad came out from behind the rocks. Toad was wearing his bathing suit. "Don't peek," he said. Frog and Toad jumped into the water. They swam all afternoon. Frog swam fast and made big splashes. Toad swam slowly and made smaller splashes. a turtle came along the riverbank. "Frog, tell that turtle to go away," said Toad. "I do not want him to see me in my bathing suit when I come out of the river." Frog swam over to the turtle. "Turtle," said Frog, "you will have to go away." "Why should I?" asked the turtle. "Because Toad thinks that he looks funny in his bathing suit, and he does not want you to see him," said Frog. Some lizards were sitting nearby. "Does Toad really look funny in his bathing suit?" they asked. A snake crawled out of the grass. "If Toad looks funny in his bathing suit," said the snake, "then I, for one, want to see him." "We want to see him too," said 2 dragonflies. "Me too," said a field mouse. "I have not seen anything funny in a long time." Frog swam back to Toad. "I am sorry, Toad," he said. "Everyone wants to see how you will look." "Then I will stay right here until they go away," said Toad. The turtle and the lizards and the snake and the dragonflies and the field mouse all sat on the riverbank. They waited for Toad to come out of the water. "Please," cried Frog, "please go away." But no one went away. Toad was getting colder and colder. He was beginning to shiver and sneeze. "I will have to come out of the water," said Toad. "I am catching a cold." Toad climbed out of the river. The water dripped out of his bathing suit and down onto his feet. For those who are watching the live stream, Toad has a very old-fashioned bathing suit here with it's all the way down to his knees and all the way down to his feet and striped. Looks kind of more like a whole set of pajamas than what we think of as a bathing suit. Well, the turtle laughed. The lizards laughed. The snake laughed. The dragonflies laughed. The field mouse laughed. And Frog laughed. "What are you laughing at, Frog?" said Toad. "I'm laughing at you, Toad," said Frog, "because you do look funny in your bathing suit." "Of course I do," said Toad. And then he picked up his clothes and went home. Now we will all rise in body or spirit and sing our children out with the song, Safe Passage. Passage. Safe passage. Thank you.
Safe passage. May we have safe passage. Safe passage on our way. Safe passage on your way, brother. Safe passage on your way, sister. Safe passage on our way, sweet children. Safe passage on our way. May we have safe passage. Safe passage. May we have safe passage. Safe passage on our way.
Let us take some time now to center ourselves, ground ourselves in whatever way that works for each of us. Perhaps feeling your feet firmly on the floor, becoming aware of the workings of your body, noticing those subtle ambient sounds among you, among us. And just feeling that we are both a still and a vibrant part of this spinning earth. What a sacred privilege it is that we share our lives with one another. We share joys. Karen Garcia is so thankful that her fiancé Zachariah's visa was approved. She asks for our prayers that he have a safe flight and that everything goes smoothly on his arrival at the airport. We have a joy lifted up for the respite from the tragedy and violence in Gaza. We share Martha Lanier's joy that her son just turned 41. She says, "I'm so proud of him. He is the light of my life." We share the joy of the parent who says, "Happy 32nd birthday to my son Aaron in Tel Aviv," and with them, we hold hopes for peace in Gaza. And we know there are so many other joys among us that are unspoken. We have many sorrows among us. Someone lifts up the government employees affected with so much uncertainty and hardship by the government shutdown. Barbara and Patrick holding cousin Larry and his partner Linda in their thoughts as she enters hospice, and wishing that they both have comfort and peace. Terry Bloomsburg thinking of my brother who is now in dementia, and our relationship has to change because of that. Holding tenderly as well the person who wishes for healing for my mother Phyllis, who had a bad fall and is recovering from surgery. And we hold as well sacred intentions. As one person wrote, "Let us all hold in our hearts the hostages on both sides in Gaza, in the Gaza conflict, and pray for peace." And one person shared just the 4-letter prayer, Gaza. We are so grateful, humbled, comforted to be reminded that we are all connected. Those of us here, people we know, people we do not, and strangers half a world away. All beings interconnected and all wishing for peace and happiness for themselves as we wish it for them. For all of these things we pray. Please remain seated to join in our meditative song, Mercy, Pity, Peace, and Love. It is number 93 in the gray hymnal, and the words will be on your screen. Thank you so much for welcoming me here this morning. I'll be back a couple of times during the fall. Dr. Thubten Jingpa, who is a scholar, a former Buddhist monk, and the longtime English translator for the Dalai Lama, found that he had a problem. He was leading U.S. American students in the metta meditation. Now, you may know the metta meditation. Metta means loving kindness. And it usually begins, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be well. And you're working on expanding your loving kindness. So then you think of people that you love, and you say, maybe the people I love, or my friends, my family, be peaceful and happy and well. And then you really stretch and you try to think about people who are your opponents, your enemies even, and wish them all that. And then the last stage is to take in all of creation and wish everybody to be happy and peaceful and well. That's the usual order. But he found that students had a really hard time with the first part. They said, it's very hard for me to wish myself to be happy and peaceful and well. Eventually, he changed the order to put this harder part later. The whole idea is that you start with something that's easier for you. But he was surprised. The Dalai Lama had a similar encounter. He was meeting with Western psychotherapists who wanted to know how Buddhist philosophy could help them in their practices, and they shared with him their hardest challenge. They said, is there anything that your Buddhist teaching can offer for us to help our clients with their deep self-loathing. As Jingpo relates the story, at first the Dalai Lama was baffled. He says, if self-preservation and self-care and self-love are fundamental instincts of every sentient creature, as Buddhist psychology assumes, how could we hate our very being? How could we become so unhinged and alienated from our own nature? He writes, the Dalai Lama now understands that self-hatred comes from caring a lot but being unable to accept or forgive our imperfect selves. And though he first encountered the therapist's stark description in the global West, research has made it evident that this problem is not limited to U.S. Americans or any one part of the human population. It's found even in cultures that have been immersed in Buddhism with that much more positive psychology. That said, here in our culture, I think we do struggle with it quite a bit. It seems that more than many cultures, ours needs to affirm our kindness for ourselves, our compassion for ourselves. We need to hear in our hearts the words that maybe you sing sometimes as we sing them in Santa Rosa. How could anyone ever tell you that you were anything less than beautiful, less than whole? Clearly, self-compassion can be difficult. To our ears, U.S. American ears maybe, the term might seem self-absorbed, even selfish, or just nonsensical. Compassion is a feeling between people, right? It's a quality of relationship. So how can we have it for ourselves? Well, we are capable of judging ourselves, liking ourselves, disliking ourselves, being ashamed of ourselves, being proud of ourselves. So we do have a relationship with ourselves. And that opens up the possibility that we can have compassion for ourselves or not have it. And that changes the quality of not only how we move through this life, but our relationships with other people. Even so, self-compassion is easily mixed up with other things. So let's take a little look at what it is and isn't. Dr. Kristen Neff has made the study of self-compassion her central focus, and you can take a test. Please don't do it right now during the service, but you can take a test at self-compassion.org, where she reports all her research. As she's studied, she's determined that it makes sense to think about self-compassion as having three elements. One is self-kindness. Think of how you would respond or like to respond to a dear friend who has made a mistake or is suffering or feels inadequate. You would hope to respond kindly to them with patience and pointing them toward hope and what's best about them. So treating yourself the same way is the self-kindness aspect of self-compassion. It stands in contrast to self-judgment. And then the second quality that she pulls out is common humanity. When we struggle or make mistakes, there's often this irrational but pervasive sense of isolation, as if I were the only person in the world having this painful experience. But all humans suffer. Not the same way, not the same amount. But the very definition of being human means being vulnerable and flawed and imperfect. When we are self-compassionate, we recognize that our suffering connects us rather than separates us from others. So Dr. Neff points that out and says, common humanity, that aspect of self-compassion stands in contrast to isolation. And finally, there's the element of mindfulness. In Neff's words, mindfulness allows us to turn toward our pain with acceptance of the present moment reality. Mindfulness helps us realize that the difficult thoughts and feelings aren't permanent, they aren't everything, they are the reality of this moment. So we might think that when we are having bad feelings about ourselves or anything else, our instinct is to look away, to shrink from them, but noticing them as they come and go, we can be more aware of that coming and going, less reactive. And so mindfulness, she says, stands in contrast to over-identification. Not feeling like I am these feelings, that they're with me always, just, oh, here it goes. It's coming and going as feelings do. So, 3 aspects of compassion: self-compassion, self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. This is important to keep in mind because there are a lot of myths that follow us about self-compassion. One is that it would mean letting ourselves off the hook. I got to be tough on myself, or I'm going to get away with goodness knows what. Many people worry. If you mention the term self-compassion, they say, well, that's going to make me avoid taking responsibility for my mistakes, the harmful things that I do sometimes. But the truth is, based on Dr. Neff's considerable research, that when we've done something we regret, we've done something that we think is stupid or hurtful, clumsy, meeting that with self-compassion actually provides the sense of safety that we need to acknowledge what we've done. Research shows that people who are self-compassionate about their past mistakes are more likely to take personal responsibility for their misdeeds and to try to repair the situation. Another myth is, it's just feeling sorry for myself. Right? Self-compassion sounds like self-pity. And who wants to be sitting in self-pity? But in fact, and again, she has systematically looked at each of these myths and said, how can we set up research about this? What's it really like when people report a high level or a low level of self-compassion? Well, self-pity seems to involve why me thinking, and it's self-focused. But self-compassion frames that experience of imperfection in the light of the shared human experience. It's hard to feel like, why me, when we recognize what I'm feeling, what I've done, is part of the common human experience. And so those who experience a lot of self-compassion, practice self-compassion, actually have less self-focus, they have increased sense of taking perspective, and they feel more connected to others when they're struggling. Likewise, there's a myth, it's self-indulgent. Being kind to yourself just means taking it easy, doing what feels good in the moment. But in fact, self-indulgence involves giving oneself short-term pleasure at the expense of long-term harm. But when we really care about ourselves, of course, we're willing to defer gratification. Right? People who are self-compassionate are more likely to make those wise decisions that are better for them in the long run. Exercise, eat well, get regular medical checkups, and generally engage in health-promoting behavior. Not self-indulgent at all. And now we're in a culture that is very concerned about self-esteem. Interesting. Self-esteem, but we struggle so much with a lack of self-compassion. What is that all about? Well, research shows that compared to self-esteem, self-compassion is much less associated with comparisons to others. How am I meeting a particular standard that others hold or that others achieve? It's less contingent on appearance and social approval or successful performance. It provides a more stable sense of self-worth over time. That's what we need. Not, I'll be okay, I'll be acceptable if I achieve this or do that, or I'm viewed in this way. But deeper self-awareness of who I really am. then there's that fear that self-compassion will make us soft or weak. I got to be tough on myself. Life's difficult. Got to be prepared. Got to have a little armor. Krista Neff has some words to say about that. Specifically, when you go into battle, if that's the way you want to see life, what's going to make you stronger? Being an ally who has your own back or an enemy who cuts you down? Self-compassion is a stance of support. I'm here with you. I got this. I see what you did. Let's do better. And people who demonstrate a high level of self-compassion are better able to deal with stressful situations than people who don't. Natural disasters, military combat, health challenges, raising special needs children, divorce, all the things that life throws at us, we are better prepared for those if we meet them with an attitude of self-compassion. If we are to cultivate compassion for others, some would say, we need to have self-compassion. Dr. Jingpa says, not exactly. Some say that without self-compassion, we can't be compassionate towards others. I disagree, he says. Compassion for others, remember, he's a Buddhist, born, bred, and trained. Compassion, especially for those in need, is a natural human instinct. And developing self-compassion makes us more able to access and act upon our compassion for others. It helps us to renew our resources, protecting ourselves against burnout, pessimism, and despair. Again, when you meet other people's troubles or failures, regrets, are you more likely to meet them with care and love and generosity, with the patience of kindness, if you're feeling like, come on, being human is tough. Let's toughen up, everybody. I toughen up. What about you? Or will you be better prepared if you feel like you have an ally in yourself, keeping you strong? Self-compassion helps us to set realistic goals, because when we feel like we need to prove ourselves worthy even to exist, which so many in our culture do, we set unrealistic goals for ourselves. That in itself is an unrealistic goal. It helps us to learn from our experiences. What helps you learn better? If you're learning to play an instrument, say, or learning a new language. When your teacher responds to your mistakes with, "You are so stupid, you'll never learn this." Or, "I can see how hard you're trying. Good work. That's great. I think here's where you went wrong. Want to try fixing that part and having another go?" That's self-compassion. Not opposed to trying to change ourselves, not we're just fine the way we are. We're on an adventure of self-improvement and self-discovery. But can we meet those mistakes and shortcomings with an attitude of a kind and wise and supportive teacher? And self-compassion helps us to feel less alone. We're more connected to others. And that, of course, goes both ways. If I realize that I am like you, I am also realizing that you are like me. And in fact, one of the phrases that Jingpa teaches in his compassion training at Stanford is, "just like me." Just like me. When you encounter a difficult person, remember, we all want to be loved and happy. I do. You do. The most difficult person in our lives does. Just like me. When we do that 4-part meditation, the third part is to imagine a difficult person. someone for whom it is particularly challenging for us to summon up compassion. I'm going to give you a second to think of somebody. Okay, you've thought of them. Well, as Jingpa says, often we are our most difficult person, at least for a moment. And a barrier toward feeling compassion for another person is when we have feelings of resentment or enmity toward them. The same is true of ourselves. We can develop self-compassion when we recognize we're only human. We're doing what we can. This is how we grow as people. This is how we learn. This is how we expand our hearts to hold more. The difficult along with the easy. The mistakes and harms committed along with the endearing actions. Just the whole darn mess of being human. Goodness knows, we are capable of cultivating compassion for others while being very hard on ourselves. We see helping professionals who spend all day helping other people and then are very impatient with their families. We see heroically altruistic people who beat themselves up for not doing more, sleeping less, fixing everything that's broken about the world. So that proves that compassion, as Jingpa says, doesn't always track along with self-compassion. But there is no question that practicing self-compassion, far from getting us lost, absorbed in ourselves, concerned only with ourselves, will actually help us to cultivate and act upon compassion for others. Self-kindness, remembering that we are part of humanity, and being mindful. That is a way to make the world one that radiates compassion from here on out. So may we do.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Helen Tinsley Jones, and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. In our covenantal community, we share the responsibility for pursuing our mission by giving generously of our time, talent, and treasures. I invite you to support the work of the church by giving electronically by scanning the QR code on the back of your badge, or by putting a cash or check donation into the donation envelope that you'll find in the back of the pew in front of you, and then put it into the donation box beside the fountain in the atrium as you leave the service. Each week, half of our offering is shared with a nonprofit Good Neighbor organization. The Good Neighbor for this month is Tiny Village Spirit, and Sally Hindman, who is the executive director of Tiny Village Spirit, is here to tell us more.
Good.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's so wonderful to be here and to be the recipient of October Good Neighbor funds. Tiny Village Spirit is extremely grateful for all your support and involvement in our interfaith ministry. As a lot of you know, we are a spirit-led organization that is involved in work with and for unhoused people, building tiny house villages that respond to the emergency housing crisis in California and around the country. And we are literally working with volunteers and building on a regular weekly basis villages that house people. I'm sure lots of you may know that our volunteers built Oakland's first legal tiny house village, which has now been operating since 2021 and has really saved the lives of tens of young people. And then now you guys have been super involved in helping build Richmond's first legal tiny house village, which is doubling the number of emergency housing units for unhoused youth in Richmond. On any given night in Richmond, there's 199 unhoused young people, ages 18 to 24, and we are doubling the number of units that will support those young people in the community. So that's just a wonderful thing. And you may know that you guys have been involved in both painting prayers and blessings for the Richmond Village, and then also have been out volunteering on numerous occasions. So probably several dozen people from UUCB have been involved so far, and we are just incredibly grateful for that. And you guys, of course, also were super involved in building the Oakland Village and the volunteering that went on for making that possible during COVID. So we have just been so grateful for your involvement, both financially as well as just putting yourselves out there on the line and in so many ways being involved. And we're particularly grateful to have as our board member Jim Aycock, and then others, so awesome. And then also Sheldon and Lade have been out, and just lots and lots of you. So just thank you so much for your involvement, and we hope to see you soon at Richmond Tiny House Village Farm and Garden.
Thank you so much, Sally. We are we here at UUCB are so pleased to be a part of your program that has expanded greatly and does so much good for youth. Will you join me in rededicating ourselves to our mission? We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. So, if you're new to our church and you'd like to learn more about how to get connected, I welcome you to find any of the greeters at the welcome table out in our atrium after the service. To find out what's happening in the life of our community, you can always check the news link on the homepage of our website, where you'll find our weekly email newsletter titled The Week Ahead, which includes a list of activities, announcements, and contact information. This week, I have a few announcements to lift up. Our free Sunday lunches, the one that'll happen right after this service, are one of the best ways that we connect as a community across generations. And to keep them going sustainably, we need a few more people to take a turn in helping make them happen. If you would like to help us keep Sunday lunch joyful and available for all, please speak to a member of our hospitality team about how to sign up. And it doesn't say it here, but I can say that it's a lot of fun to help out for those lunches. If you want to see 1,000 smiles, help cut cake like I did last week. Today at our Humanist Connections, Paul Ulbrich will lead a discussion on what is hypnosis anyway. This discussion will be in the Sophia Room from 1 to 2:30 p.m. and also on Zoom. Next Sunday, Personal Theology returns with a talk by Diane Rusnick, Dream Artist, titled Stepping Through the Dream Door into Deeper Life Connection and Awareness. It will be at 9:30 a.m. in the Fireside Room and also on Zoom. And the Social Justice Council is asking for nominations for our 2026 Good Neighbor lineup. Anyone in the congregation is free to nominate eligible nonprofits. So get your nomination form at our website, uucb.org, or at the social justice table out in the atrium. Nominations are due by Friday, October 31st.
Good morning again. One more. Renee Ben-Mella is going to start her class at the Song Circle series tomorrow. There's still time to register. It's tomorrow evening. And you don't need to be a great singer. You don't need to read music. It's just willingness to explore sound. And we're going to go into our next hymn, which works a little bit like the Song Circles. There's a melody, and then there's parts you add on to it. And you're about to hear them. So Rod and Phil, if you can come forward. And Amy is also going to help out with this. So everybody gets to sing whatever they want in this. So here's the main tune. We'll just do the main tune.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. Breathe in, I'll breathe out.
And now, Phil, if you can. Oh.
That's right, I have a mic.
Great.
I'm all mic'd.
He's going to sing for us the test camp. So he comes right after the tune. So, Rod, would you sing the tune? Phil, would you sing the drone?
Join it.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
So you can sing whatever part you want. You can trade from one to the other. You can just sit back and listen to other people. We're going to sing it through a couple times. Please rise. Rise up, join in singing as you feel inspired.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Beautiful. Please remain standing. If you're standing, join hands as you're comfortable and say the words that will be on the screen. These are the words that for many years the folks in Palo Alto have closed their services with. Go out into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to what is good. Return no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Rejoice in beauty. Speak love with word and deed. Honor all beings. Thank you. That was lovely.
That was, and thank
Just
you
beautiful.
for joining in with that. That was so
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll do that again.